Lotto on the beat.
Death by Dynasty.
Okay, let's go, baby. I'm ready to go. Podcast mode.
Oh, what?
Prepare for
This? Yeah, you better believe. Oh, shoot. You better believe we got the draft board up right now. We got the draft board up. And, wow, we're in a new mode right here.
Podcast mode.
We serious about this. This is our league's draft that we just had. And so every single person in our league, we're about to put on blast right now. Nobody's safe. If we feel like they made a bad pick, we're going to be honest about it because we want you, the viewer, to learn from what we're saying and to gain all this information as we analyze the draft board a little bit. But also, first time ever, we normally draft in August, somewhat of a normal rookie draft. We did a slow draft this year for the first time. We just finished it up a few days ago. It took, 5 days or so. And I really loved it. Honestly, it allowed for a lot of movement, gave time for people to make decisions on what they really wanted to do with that pick because it's an asset. In Dynasty, it's an asset. Doesn't mean it's an actual pick. It's just currency.
I loved it. That was one of my I thought it was going to be good, but it was even better than I thought because I feel like in every other year, there's never been that maybe like 1 or 2 day trades during the draft. Yeah. There was probably 5 to 7 this year. There was a good amount. I don't know the exact number, but it was wild. Whereas we did 12 hours per pick and then stops at night.
Most people, honestly, a lot of the picks happened in minutes. So yeah, but it took a couple days, paused overnight. So yeah, I loved it. No surprise as we look at this board here. No surprise there at the 101. Obviously, Bijan Robinson. I love the landing spot for him in Atlanta, and he's going to be a beast.
Yeah, there's really not much you can say. It's you got 1-1. You won the lottery for Dynasty fantasy football for this time being. So you go Bijan there. I feel like we just move on right from there.
Yeah, we move on. All right, so I guess maybe some choice here. Bryce Young goes 2. I guess you can contemplate going Anthony Richardson, but
yeah, the funny thing is shortly after the draft, all the video now is coming out of Bryce Young at camp, and he looks small. But I think when I came into the draft, I thought Bryce Young was the obvious number 1 quarterback. I really do think it's a toss-up between 3 of them on who could be the best quarterback this year. There's been really good things from all 3 of them, and there's also a lot of weak spots for all 3 of them as well.
Yeah, I agree. I would say Anthony Richardson is in the best spot this year. He might not be the best out of this class when we look back 3-4 years from now, but he is the best. He's got a good receiving core. That's pretty much what I'm looking at there, and I trust the coaches there, maybe not.
Yeah, I know the knock on him is his accuracy. But I feel like if I had the 1-2 pick day of the draft, I probably would have went Richardson. Joey loaded up. He traded up to 3, getting Bijan and Anthony Richardson. I think he got the 2 players that I would want in that spot there. And he has weapons there, like you said. So I think there's a shot there. Bias, I'm just looking way into CJ Stroud because I take him at I got him as a steal. We could talk about that more later, but I think he really has a shot to be the best quarterback as well, based off film I've been watching. So it's interesting.
So one thing I want to say in general about what my philosophy is on the draft, and really on Dynasty as a whole now, is just to be gaining value over time. Big for me. And so I don't hate drafting for need, but I think that you should have value equally as in mind at the very least, and really you shouldn't be reaching on a guy just to get your need, basically, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I guess I could touch on it now where we just talk about the quarterbacks. That was the thing, at 1-6 to be able to get CJ Stroud I was thrilled with it. And at that point, when I traded back to 1-6, I had no intentions of taking a quarterback.
You were in the moment, you were great pick, great value for CJ Stroud at 1-6, like you're saying. In the moment, tell me, you were a little bit annoyed because you were trying to get JSN or Gibbs.
Honestly, no. I even told you before, I said I'm going to get either a quarterback at a great value or someone else. And To be completely honest, I think CJ Stroud is going to be a great quarterback. Like, his college film is incredible. I admittedly don't watch that much college film. I do a lot of just like analysis from other people. So I don't watch them as much in college, but his film was incredible. He's on the money, accurate. He's making throws that his highlight film looks different than a lot of other top prospects are in past years.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's the most like NFL ready, probably. And people are saying that he has the lowest ceiling. I don't know. I just think that's hard to determine at this point in time. But there's certain quarterbacks that deserve to have more value coming out. But I think he's NFL ready as can be. So the 1-3 was my pick. I actually, before the draft, before I even knew we were having a slow draft that was going to be starting a few days later, basically, I traded down from the 1-3 to the 1-5. Going to jump around a little bit just to talk about this briefly when I'm talking about value. I had no intention of drafting a quarterback in this class. And when you think about it, I'm kind of contradicting myself in a way too, because I probably should, if I wanted the best value at 1-5, I guess I should have drafted a quarterback. But at the same point, Jackson Smith-Njigba was always my guy. Like, I was willing to draft him at the 1-3. But if I drafted him at the 1-3, I really would have would not have been good value there when I could have gotten the top 2 quarterback. So I made sure to trade down and get him at a better value, basically. So I got Jackson Smith and where he's supposed to go, by the way. But if you're going to be eyeing a player in the draft like that, don't just take him at the pick that you have. Get him at the proper value. So that's why Gibbs went before JSN. I assumed that was going to happen. Joey had 2 back-to-back picks. He could have taken 2 quarterbacks, but I thought he was going to take Gibbs, and I thought that JSN was going to land in my lap. And I'm honestly kind of happy that if Gibbs and JSN was a decision, that he made the choice for me, because that's a tough one for me.
Yeah. And then you asked me if I was upset about having to take a quarterback there. And the reason I wasn't is because I was fully prepared to trade up into that next pick there. I knew I wanted to trade back into that. So where I'm going with this is, I think between the 3 wide receivers, just like I said for the quarterbacks, the more and more I got closer to the draft, I think it was more of a toss-up in who could be one of the best receivers. And I think JSN definitely could be the best long-term wide receiver out of this class, and probably will be. But Addison, I just think has the best this year potential.
Yeah, I actually love that. Like, you still ended up getting a great wide receiver in the first round after drafting a great quarterback. So I loved your first round all around. And yeah, I agree with you about Addison. I think he's in a great offense with a quarterback that generally knows what he's doing, and obviously a veteran. So 100% agree. That offense is going to be filthy.
And Thielen vacated so many targets for Addison. I feel like he's a way he's a way more talented receiver than Thielen is at this time. And
the only player on that team that may take some of what Addison should be the wide receiver to is Hawkinson. That's the only person, like, I could see him getting touchdowns and stuff like that. That's the only guy. Okay, Quentin Johnson. 108 here. The right choice, first of all. I mean, I guess some of those receivers are a little bit up in the air. I mean, like, that was pretty much all the receivers. That was the last. I mean, Zay Flowers. I guess you could have taken Zay Flowers there potentially. But,
yeah, Quentin Johnson's where you have to go there.
Yeah. I agree 100% there.
But I could touch on, because to be honest, as soon as I traded for that pick, I thought I was going Quentin Johnson. So I can kind of walk you through my thought process, and it really came down to that landing spot. But yeah, Quentin Johnson, he has Mike Williams and Keenan Allen on that team, and then you got Justin Jefferson, and basically that's, like you said, TJ Hawkinson. And in just the different styles of offense, I watched the Chargers offense pretty heavily last year, having Herbert in one of my leagues, and I just don't like any of those receivers as where their value is, just because he spreads around so much. They throw it, they dump it down so much to Eckler. Eckler made a comment like they never had a deep threat, and that's why they do it. But I mean, I just trust, seeing what Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen can do, I just trusted Addison to be good there. But then again, like I was really 50-50 for the most part. So I think Quentin Johnson is you have to do it there.
You know, nobody truly knows, but but that's what's great about the draft and talking about it. I'll come out and say, like, I don't like Quentin Johnson. That was the right pick there, and this is just my personal opinion, but I don't like Quentin Johnson, and I think that his landing spot, people are thinking is really good for him because of the offense and everything like that. Great QB. I don't know. I did watch Quentin Johnson in some of his biggest games down the stretch, and I didn't really like him, but I don't know.
Oh, and you want to know, honestly, what flipped me to be more of an Addison guy is I watched, Steve Smith. He was breaking down all the receivers. And I mean, I trust Steve Smith over a lot of people. I remember a few years back, he predicted someone to be a breakout player too. And there is some things he was saying, like Quentin Johnson, like he wasn't how big he is. And that's what his like strength is how big he is. He wasn't like meeting the ball at his peak a lot of the times. And he was like making really good catches, but they were like extending out instead of like going up and doing something like Megatron would do. And he was saying that that's something that could get exposed in the NFL. But he was saying like Jordan Addison's route running is insane, and that he was big on Jordan Addison. But again, I also take that with a grain of salt because I feel like Steve Smith's like gonna go with the smaller, not underrated, but like undersized receiver because that's exactly what he was. Yeah. But if he sees that, if he turns out to be Steve Smith, then I mean I'd be thrilled with that.
100%. Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna call Quentin Johnson out, clip it. I'm sure he's gonna end up being great, but I'm gonna call him out how I feel it. People are probably eyeing this next pick right now a little bit. I was a little. This is what I'm talking about a little bit. It's like Tajay Spears might be a great running back in the NFL. Obviously, he's currently sitting behind Henry, and some people probably think that's a good thing. Henry is a little bit older and could be on the way out soon. There was already trade rumors for him this offseason. But for me, like maybe Tajay Spears was going to be like, that was like Dunk Sky heading into the draft. Maybe it was, but that's where I'm talking about, where if that was true and you didn't want that real first round pick, you should have traded way down. Cause I see him going late second, 2-7 and on, honestly. So again, I think great player, not great value at that pick.
Yeah, that was, in my opinion, the reach of the draft. I was bewildered when that happened, and I just can't see first round value picking someone who's 100% not seeing the field this year. Derrick Henry's not going anywhere.
Not as a starter, at least, but yeah.
Yeah, like he's not going to be a fantasy relevant player for most of this year.
Yeah.
So I just feel like there's so many better like receivers. All my steals
and having him on your team is not a bad thing. It's a good guy to have on your team. But yeah,
like value. You said, you trade back there. That's just, I feel like there's so many better receivers on the board that you can take there.
Yep. I think at this point in the draft, we were in our second day of the draft, and you posed the question, is Will Levis going to make it out of the first round? And he did not, unlike the real NFL draft. Shout out Gia Duddy. She's probably not as upset right now that Will Levis went 10th overall in the International Dynasty League of Nations draft.
Yeah, I was honestly surprised by this pick here. I just can't buy into. I know it's Dynasty. I know it's Superflex, and he very well could be, but it's just tough seeing what other like NFL scouts are saying and being able to really commit to, again, giving first round value there. But I mean, it's an appropriate landing spot based on other drafts too. So I think if you believe in him, it's a good pick there.
If Zay Flowers was going to drop there after Spears again, and he kept dropping in our draft, but yeah, I would take nuts. I would take Flowers there. But again, like, I don't think that's an awful spot for Will Levis to go, given that it's super flex. I think that's generally okay, maybe a pick or two later, but it's not an awful landing spot. And then we got at the 111, Dalton Kincaid. A lot of people love this guy. I know you have different thoughts.
Yeah, I wrote down for another one of my biggest reaches for the draft as any tight end not named Sam Laporta. I said it last episode, I believe it was, but there's just at any point, I'm not drafting a tight end in the first 3 rounds of a dynasty draft. Like, I'm just not going to do it. They don't hold their value. Look back over the last 20 years. There has been 0 fantasy relevant tight ends drafted in the first round.
Yeah.
0. And go on. The only one, Dallas Clark, was a first round pick. But I mean, if you want to go all the way back to Dallas Clark to be able to like there's so many really good players on the board in the first 3 rounds. I like the first 2.5, 3 rounds. So many good players that even if you hit a good tight end, they still don't even have that much value. So I will preach, this is going to be the dynasty fantasy football hill that I die on, is that tight ends have just as much value as a defense or a kicker practically. Yes, there's outliers, but they are so worthless. And you can stream them. They're streamers. Every single one's a streamer besides
if you hit on one, though.
Even Kittle's trash.
If you were to hit on, I honestly mostly agree with what you're saying, but if you were to hit on one, you would be hitting the jackpot. Because while most of them are all in the same tier, like that, basically, there's probably 3 tiers of tight ends. Absolutely amazing is Kelsey. That's pretty much it. That's the only one in that tier. And then you've got like a couple other guys that are like in that like they're very good and they're a good asset. And then
but they
like,
don't stay good
else.
Consistent. That's the thing. Like look at Darren Waller. He was a stud for 2 seasons. I still have him on my team. I'm hoping he's gonna be great on the Giants. There's so many, like George Kittle had a few fantasy years where he was not a great. He was like tight end 8 or something.
I don't think George Kittle is honestly that good as a fantasy asset at this point.
That's what I'm saying. And I've tried to trade tight. I had Mark Andrews on my team. I had Kittle on my team. I've had good tight ends, and you just don't get great value for them. I overpaid for them because I overestimated their value to other people. I was offering like a first round pick for Kittle. I'm getting Kittle, and I'm like pushing a second. Like I'm like it has to be like someone who they know they're like, oh, it's gonna be a late second. So it's just I never see a time where it's worth it taking a tight end. I do think Laporta has a chance though.
I also want to say right now that drafting Dalton Kincaid 111 is the community's consensus. Like that's about where he went. Maybe dropped early second round, but community's consensus. I agree with a lot of what you're saying, but I don't think that it's necessarily a bad pick for the value based on what the general dynasty
100%.
community and analysts are saying about him.
No, 100%.
But obviously, if you get there were a lot of tight ends in this draft that you could have gotten at later rounds, so certainly understandable. 112. I mean, I just have to keep saying it. Zay Flowers just continued to drop. I'm just going to keep saying it. Zach Charbonnet doesn't go to the best landing spot in Seattle.
Horrible landing spot. It makes no sense.
And he, again, was very highly thought of before the draft. Is got great NFL talent potentially, but from a fantasy standpoint, not great for him. Obviously dealing with Kenneth Walker, and I don't know, one of them is probably going to lose out. We're not really sure which one's going to end up being the starter there. Really,
definitely not a win now pick, but he's a great pick if Zay Flowers isn't on the board.
One thing that you're not seeing on this board right now is that there was a pick 113 because we had a new owner who bought a team last year who we allowed him to get the 113, and he took Rice, blanking on his first name. Rashee Rice.
That's how you pronounce it.
Chiefs wide receiver. Forget which round he went in. Okay, that's another big reach. That is another huge reach. Again, I see
with Zay Flowers on the board.
Again, with Zay Flowers on the board. And here's the crazy thing for me. If you look at this draft right now, the person who drafted these guys so this is Cam here. You'll see him 01. Sorry, I got to call him out. I got to let the viewers know who I'm talking about.
His name's not Cam though, so it doesn't
so it's
really
okay.
matter.
Yeah, I'll try to I don't know if I can black out most of these names. I'm sorry, boys. I'm putting you on blast here. I believe that if he wanted Kincaid at the 111, he could have taken Kincaid at the 111. He could have then taken Zay Flowers, who fell to the 113, and still gotten Rice when he drafted again at the 2-6. I think he could have gotten Zay Flowers and Rice in the same exact draft. Instead, he passed on Zay Flowers to take Rice, and of course, Zay Flowers was going to go right after that.
Yeah, that was pretty wild. What was it? We were talking in our group chat. And we were like, oh, Zay Flowers. Wow, how is he still on the board?
We were saying it.
We kept saying Zay Flowers. We're like, oh, the next pick has to be Zay Flowers at this point.
So at that point, when Zay Flowers dropped to the 201, I was absolutely contacting the owner of that pick, trying to move up to the 202.
Oh, me too. He probably got so many offers.
Probably
the whole league hit him up.
I'm sure.
You're essentially trading for Zay Flowers at that point. I was treating it like I was trading for the 1-6 or the not 1-6, like 1-9 spot. That's how I imagined it in my head.
That's what Joey hit me with, and it's so true, but it's so annoying. But yeah, he basically hit me with that, like, you are obviously coming to get Zay Flowers, so we know the exact value of this pick, basically. So
that's a really interesting situation when everyone knows who's gonna go next.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, a Cheney. Wait, I'm saying that wrong.
I was gonna say I don't know if I was gonna let you pronounce it. I'm like, is it a chain?
I think it's a chain. That's right. Yeah, I'm glad you said that because I wasn't gonna be able to get it. It's a chain. Okay.
I think it's a great pick. I think he's gonna be good. I think it's a great landing spot. I think he has one of the best potentials outside of Bijan and Gibbs to be a good running back. Yeah.
Again, great spot, great pick at the 202. That's probably, I mean, as far as taking him there, not much else to say. That's pretty much what you were supposed to do in that position. So yeah, I think he's a great running back and in a great position. It's possible they're still going to be trying to trade for a running back, so we'll see. But regardless, as of right now, and given
that's what you want to see for a rookie, for a player you're drafting in a rookie situation where they have very limited competition, for lack of a better word,
especially as a
that's
running
where you're
back.
drafting. Yeah, that's all what it's about as a running back. It's all competition.
Yeah, 100%. So he's in a good spot for sure. He'll definitely have some fantasy value this year, right off the bat, and probably developing even more. All right, Mayer. I honestly don't know too much about Mayer, but I do think, again, this is the general spot that he was going. I agree with you when I say that I think Miller is way better value there. I would take Miller over Mayer every single day because he, again, could get really early on fantasy relevance with Kamara potentially being suspended. So, but nonetheless, like, I don't hate the pick with the general consensus again.
Yeah, you could copy and paste exactly what I said about Kincaid, about Mayer. And it would still all be relevant with what I was talking about. But at the same time, Kamara the last 2 years has been on a huge downturn in his career. But at the same time, Jamal Williams is there, which caps your running back potential immediately because they're obviously going to use Jamal Williams. And last year he led the league in touchdowns at like 16. So Miller, if Kamara suspended, like we just talked about for a chain, is he's gonna have an opportunity to be successful right from the bat, and that's what you want to look for in a running back. So yes, I would have 100% taken Miller over Mayer. But again, I do still think there's way better receivers still available on the board that you could go for. I think Miller's a good pick, though. I'll say Miller is a good pick.
Yeah. I
didn't even realize till right now that you picked Miller.
This is my pick, so I almost forgot myself, honestly. But I will say, so I was at the 205 when I saw Miller still there at the 204. I had to go get him. I forget what I traded him. Another second or something like that. But yeah, I like him there because of, again, the possibility of that early season value, and then we'll see from there. We'll know very early on what he might be. Okay, Mingo at the 2.5 there. For me, I guess I just didn't understand why like some of the other, like, Mingo to me is not the best wide receiver there, even though he is, again, maybe this is just my personal opinion. I don't know. The community loves him. I'm not as big on him, but I do think that is the general landing spot that I've seen from him. I don't think he's in a good spot. He's in a good spot that he doesn't have much competition on the team, but I don't know how good the offense is going to be early on. it's going to be a little bit of a struggle.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Bryce Young may see early struggles just from adjustment to the NFL, just as any of these quarterbacks are going to. But I think the size also is going to play a difference for sure, at least early on. I definitely think he can overcome that, but I do think it's going to be kind of a big change from the start. So Carolina is not the best landing spot. So he's like a to me.
Yeah.
It was appropriate spot to get
I don't
drafted,
know. When I look at the next 3 picks, if I had the 2-5, I probably wouldn't want to take any of the next 3 guys at the very least. So,
yeah, I mean, I like Roschon Johnson, just not there.
Yeah. So Roschon Johnson, I guess, could have some opportunity to even potentially in the next 2 years move into a starting role too. You never really know with these running backs because they could just be drafting the next running back again next year. Deontay Foreman, he broke out for the first time last year, and I don't think that they're paying him anything major.
They also have Khalil Herbert, so it's a lot of he got drafted 115 overall. So it's like I think it's just one of those again. Like I think I was looking at him at like early 3rd round. So I just think it was a little early for him, but again, I liked him. He was definitely on my board.
For sure. All right, Hyatt. Again, I just would have taken other receivers here, but
I don't trust New York receivers at any point. It's just not a receiver-friendly team.
Yeah, Wendell Robinson, who they drafted, I think in like the 2nd or 3rd round 2 years ago, was injured last year. He's coming back. There's a lot of competition there. Competition of guys who none of them are standing out as the wide receiver 1. So Hyatt certainly has that opportunity.
And they have Waller too, so it's like another. Yeah. He's definitely going to take some targets.
You know what that offense is.
They traded a lot for him.
You know it's Saquon, and now they have Waller, who's going to be great for Daniel Jones because he's not the best passer in the league, and so that little short pass to the tight end will probably be pretty helpful for him. All right, Laporta, you like Laporta a lot, so
I just like Detroit's offense. I think Detroit's offense is fun, and they've always been big on tight ends. And Hawkinson was great until he got traded. I don't know about if great's the right word, but he was a serviceable every week starter in fantasy. And I think Laporta is a guy who I think at the value like we're talking about, if you are going to take a tight end, I would much rather wait and take Laporta than spend the early capital on one of the other two. But again, even if I would still never draft Laporta even, but I think that was a great value for if you're going to go tight end.
For sure. All right. Then we go Brown here going to Cincinnati. Pretty good landing spot given Joe Mixon is potentially on the outs there, off field troubles, not as good on the field, getting older, things like that. I don't know. I don't. Again, I'm just gonna be honest. Like I don't know too much about him other than his situation of where he's going. But
yeah, he's been a player that I've saw a lot about of like in articles like saying like, oh, watch out for this player, like good sleeper pick. I'm not sure the exact landing spot that he usually goes in, but he was a player who I had written down as someone to look out for in the later areas of the draft.
100%. We get Tank Bigsby going at 210. I will say this about Cam here. This loaded up on these 2nd round picks, which I actually am realizing is really great value. Now that
2nd round picks are great.
Because a lot of these 2nd round picks, especially mid to early 2nd round picks, would have been 1st round picks for us in previous years or in any QB1 league, which we were in. So 1 QB league, I should say. Okay, Tank Bigsby. People loved Tank Bigsby. He just didn't go to a great landing spot with ETN there. I think great talent. I do think that ETN isn't like a workhorse back. He's certainly, it's not the same as what happened to Kenneth Walker, to be honest with you, because ETN will still get his and Tank Bigsby will just kind of clean it up but I do think that, ETN isn't the guy who's going to be getting, 30 plus rushes a game or anything like that. So
I think that's just like the nature of running backs now in general, just looking health wise is like, you don't want to run your running backs into the ground and very few running backs can do that. So I think teams, when they have the opportunity to get another serviceable back, it definitely doesn't hurt. And it's also true that teams can have multiple backs and then all be fantasy relevant too, which is always something to keep in mind. I know in my head I get scared away from committee backfields, but there's been many situations where both running backs can, or even sometimes 3 running backs can be successful.
Yeah, 100%. Then we get Downs and Mims off the board, and I love both of those picks, especially at those spots, which I did see them going all up and down the second round, really, like from mid to late second round. But for me, after Zay Flowers, those are the 2 best wide receivers. And I thought it was crazy that the NFL passed so long on Downs, because there was like 10 wide receivers taken 4 Downs in the NFL. I think he lands in a very good spot as well, and can potentially grow with Anthony Richardson. And yeah, I like him. I like Mims also.
Yeah, I was, again, that was another one I was 50-50 between when I drafted at 211 there with Downs, between him and Mims. The reason I went with Downs, I think for the most part, was just that I had Tim Patrick on my team, which I ended up cutting like 3 days later anyway. So it really didn't make too much of a difference, but I was happy with Downs. But I'll even loop in my pick at 3-1 with Jaden Reed. I think those 3 receivers.
Another great pick at 3-1.
Yeah, those 3 players were players that I think could have went with some of these players that we were saying were a little bit early in the draft, because I definitely was not expecting those players to be available there. Jaden Reed from Michigan State, he was great at Michigan State. I'm honestly shocked for.
He actually started creeping back up the board recently, and I've seen him going in the mid-second round. I mean, he's a guy, he's going to have second, he's going to likely be, or at least have the opportunity to be, the wide receiver 2 this year and potentially for the future as well. The only other guy there, I guess, is Dobbs, but certainly it was Christian Watson first. But I just think that like they need wide receivers there, and he has a great opportunity.
Absolutely. I think going on to the next one here, for 1 second, I was like, should I just go Hendon Hooker to get another quarterback? But I really just couldn't pull the trigger there, because Detroit's went up front and said they don't know, or they're redshirt. They said the words redshirting him his first year, and then they'll make a decision if he's their guy, which in my mind means, are they going to extend Goff after this year? And I think Detroit's going to be a good team. And in that situation, you extend your quarterback when your team's successful. So I just find there's a really good chance Hendon Hooker just never ends up even getting a chance in the first few years. And quarterbacks, when they don't get a chance in their first few years, it's really hard to recover from that.
That's so true. Detroit is going all in right now. They're literally going all in right now to try to win. I mean, not like all in, but like you could tell they want
as all in as they can be for what they have.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's so true. Jared Goff is probably their quarterback for the next at least 2 years, because why would you stick a rookie in there when you're trying to win? And like they could maybe draft a guy next year that would be like the future quarterback, but that's about it. Let's just name 3 guys really quick that we like, that the rest of the third round.
All right.
Or 2 guys. I don't even care.
Yeah, we could go 2.
All right. Go for it.
I got my 2. So Tank Dell, I think that was a great pick there. I know he's an exciting player that, again, I saw a lot of him because of CJ Stroud. And then I'm going to pick one of my own, is Sam Howell.
I dropped him last year. I got him in a trade. I'm pissed at myself. I need a fill-in quarterback right now.
He's a starting quarterback who Washington fans love. And last year was the NFL record for 66 quarterbacks started in an NFL game, and Sam Howell broke that record. And that many quarterbacks get opportunities, which means always have quarterbacks on your team that could end up having potential. And I think he really could. For getting him in the 3rd round, I think is extremely good value.
Yeah, late 3rd round, 4th round, picking up some of those guys that are on the free agent wire is huge. I like Boutte a lot. I think he's got insane opportunity in New England. That he possibly will be their wide receiver 1 even. He's just not the talent that you see higher in the draft. But I think that he's got insane opportunity with Mac Jones, who still has room to grow and needs a receiver to trust. So I like that a lot. I was going to say I like Sam Howell as well. I like Tank Dell at the price there. I've heard a lot of good things about Tank Dell. Again, going to a spot where there's a lot up in the air there. So he could be wide receiver too. Who knows? All right. So that wraps up really our analysis of the first 3 rounds here. From the 4th round is a lot of just throwing darts at the board and maybe picking up some free agents in your league, which is not a bad play. But yeah, if you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe.
And hit that notification bell, baby. Let's go.